ruined him! They ruined my boy! How could they ruin him? Every day I wake up and I wish you were dead! They ruined my boy. I mean, look at this. Does this look like Jimmy Olsen to you? Huh? I mean, not my Jimmy Olsen, all right? How could they take my precious, sweet boy and make him a bad photographer? That's one of his big things. I'm real worked up about this. Look what they made him do, all right? He's out here, he's taking photos, he brings them back to the Daily Planet. Why are they blurry, Jimmy? They're not out of focus. There's too much motion blur. Why do you have your shutter speed set so slow? It's the middle of the day and you're outside. What, do you have your camera set to aperture priority mode like an amateur? They ruined him! To be completely honest, I think My Adventures of Superman, the new cartoon that came out, it slaps. I think it's fantastic, actually. It's just that, YouTube videos that, praise media don't really get a lot of attention, so I had to, critique something and, build up the drama. I know how to use a camera. But if you haven't seen the show, I highly recommend it. And I just want to gush about it for a couple of minutes, if that's okay with you. This is not really a video with an overall point or message other than I think this show is cute and great and I like it. If there is a message to this video, I would say it's the importance of being earnest. I saw it recently. It's really good. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, a brand new streaming service popped up called Max. Interesting. They released the first 2 episodes of My Adventures with Superman. It follows a young Clark Kent as he's trying to figure out who he is. In fact, that's sort of the big question of the series so far. He just keeps repeating over and over again, who am I? Which I think is an interesting question to follow because we as an audience don't even have all the answers just yet for the show. We're seeing all this Kryptonian stuff from Clark's perspective. Krypton speaks a different language than the technology doesn't translate, so we don't know what they're saying. It sort of feels threatening. It's a little scary. We get glimpses of what could happen, which is fun because I feel like everyone on the Earth, on the planet, on the Daily Planet, I feel like everyone knows Superman's whole origin story. So it's fun to see a cartoon, a new Superman story, trying to spin it as if it's something very mysterious. And they're doing a good job of it because even though I feel like I know a lot about Superman's origin, but the show is making me go do I though? Anyway, I feel like a lot of Superman media over the last couple of decades has been, I don't know, it's sort of winks and nods at the source material while trying to be self-aware enough to not fully devote itself to the original Superman comics. It sort of became a meme at some point that Superman's the big blue Boy Scout and how can you make any interesting story about someone who's good? I guess. That feels weird to me that we reached that conclusion at some point along the way. And I don't just mean the movies. I think it's really easy to poke fun at the recent movies with Superman and just how many iterations there are of stories about Superman analogs that aren't really Superman but are ooh, what if Superman was evil sort of a thing. People trying to take this character and reinvent Superman in a different, darker, meaner, broodier sort of way. Invincible comes to mind. The Boys, they're all the dark, evil Superman characters. We're swimming in them. So it's really refreshing when a show comes along that is unapologetically sincere and earnest and doesn't try and make fun of the fact that Superman is just a good guy. Literally right out of the gate, the first thing we see Clark doing is saving a cat from a tree, which is so cliche, but it works with Superman because he is a cliche. I know people would roll their eyes at that. I'm sure people who don't like the show did roll their eyes at it, but I really liked it because it's if it was anybody else, yeah, but it's Superman. That's what he does. I feel myself getting angry about how much I like this show. I'll try to tone it down a little bit. When he's fighting the big bad villain at the end of episode 2, she's why don't you die already? Or just kill me and get it over with. So it's you're in this world, this world of Metropolis where clearly people are gonna kill each other. They want to fight. kill Superman. They expect Superman to kill them. They don't even know Superman just showed up. They're like, this guy's gonna kill me. But no, he says, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. It's so small. It doesn't feel like I'm asking that much. It doesn't feel like any of us have been asking that much from Warner Brothers and DC and Max, the guy who owns the app now, Max, the Max app. We're not asking much of you, Max. When we ask for like a Superman that's just nice and kind and wants to help people. I've always said this, my favorite part of any superhero media, especially movies and TV shows, is when they take the time out to show you the heroes actually helping people. I feel like at the start of like the MCU, for example, there was a focus on this. Like I remember the first Avengers movie had a lot of sections in the big final battle where they showed off the heroes actually helping civilians. That sort of like dissipated. Like once the Russos sort of stepped into the picture, they're just like, oh, people just want to watch heroes and villains fight. People don't even exist in this universe anymore. It's just heroes and villains fighting. There are no people. There are no humans on Earth. It's just heroes and villains fighting. They don't show heroes saving people. That's what their job is, right? Superheroes were never created to fight supervillains. When you trace back Superman, the first Superman comic books, he was not immediately fighting supervillains. Supervillains came around because they needed a bigger threat to the hero, but Superman's like first things that he was doing was just saving people from criminals. Batman as well. Batman was just like saving people from criminals. It was never superhero versus supervillain at the start. It was just heroes helping everyday people. And it feels like we've sort of lost sight of that in a lot of more modern comic book superhero media. It's so nice to see this show not only focus on just this one little line of Superman going up to a supervillain and saying, I don't even want to hurt you. So he's like turning the script again on this. He's like, there are supervillains immediately in this universe, but Superman is not even there to hurt the supervillains. He wants to help the supervillain because he's Superman. He goes a step further than everyone else. Everyone else, yeah, they would save the civilians if the Russos would let us see that, you know? And like, obviously at the end of the second episode, there's a fantastic little mini thing where Superman looks around at all of the destruction that he caused during this big first fight that he got in. And he decides to use his powers to clean it up because he can. He's strong and he's fast and he can do it. It takes like 4 seconds for him and he does it without it being asked. He just looks around and goes, oh, whoops. I'll fix that. I just like Superman when he's a nice person. You know what I mean? That's sort of his thing. It's good that we've gotten back to the roots of it. Even outside of personality, even outside of Clark and Superman's personality, it's nice to see the writers of this show embracing parts of Superman's iconography, his history, his lore, and doing it in a way that, again, is not like poking fun at or like winking at the audience to be like, we know this is silly, but we're gonna do it. For example, my favorite moment, when Clark finally like gets the Superman costume, it doesn't have the red trunks. That was sort of a letdown because I did make a video a couple years ago sort of like praising the red trunks. Thought Slime made a video recently about how important the red trunks are. People like the red trunks. I wasn't a fan of them growing up, but I like really appreciate them now for what they represent. Just to sort of reiterate some of my thoughts from that video, if you don't want to watch it, it was a really long video from a while ago. I wouldn't watch my videos. Maybe I'd watch this one. Keep watching this one. I need the watch time and the AdSense, please. Thank you. Basically, I think that Superman's red trunks are sort of goofy, but Superman himself is supposed to be disarming. He's not supposed to show up and you think this guy's going to kill me. You're supposed to see him and feel like sort of at ease because this is a guy who is dressed in a way that maybe isn't the coolest, but he's owning it. He's rocking it. He's confident in it. It sort of like radiates off of him in a way that's like, oh, this guy is not really a threat. He's the opposite. He's a hero and he's here to save me. And that's great. And I think that's what the sort of trunks represent for Superman. So to have a moment in this show where Superman comes out, he's in full costume for the first time and he doesn't have the red trunks, a little disappointing. Then the show takes time specifically to have Ma Kent sew up the red trunks and have Clark put them on simply because she thinks it looks better. No other attention added to it other than like, yeah, it's pretty good. And there's no jokes about it. If you can believe this, not a single person jokes that their underwear, that like Superman's wearing underwear on the outside of his pants. Can you believe that there would be a scenario where the writers wouldn't take the laziest route when talking about Superman's costume, but instead embrace it earnestly and sincerely. I love that. And then in that same moment, Clark is worried that people are going to see through, all he had was glasses on. It's that classic, if he takes off his glasses, suddenly people don't recognize him. But they even address that in the show as well. And they don't spend a lot of time on it because they don't need to. It's literally just Clark asking, hey, are you sure people aren't going to recognize me? And then his own parents are like, I barely recognize you and I raised you. That's literally all you need. I can buy into that. I've always bought into the, Superman not being recognized. I mean, I've said this a million times before, but Superman doesn't wear a mask, so there's no reason why people would think that he has a secret identity as a human. To them, his identity is out in the open, so no one would be looking for but who could Superman really be? If you were Superman, you would just be Superman all the time. No one would think that he has a secret identity. No one's looking at Clark like, could he be Superman? Of course not. Superman. Why would he be Clark? Doesn't make sense. I'm getting worked up about how much I like the show because I feel like I'm arguing to defend it from people that I don't know exist. Do people hate this show? Because I love it. Just embracing the pure earnestness of Superman. He's just a really nice guy who wants to help people. I mean, that was the other thing too. The reason he decides to be Superman, he sees all this bad stuff going down, all the story that they're chasing, and he wants to help, but he doesn't want to give away his identity necessarily. So he concocts this scheme of if I become this superhero that people already say that I am, Superman, then I can help people out in the open and not have to hide it. I'm hearing myself talk right now, and it feels so silly to me that I am just describing the character of Superman and then being like, the show did it. They just did Superman. And it's wild to me that excites me. I feel like we just have not had good, accurate, wholesome Superman representation in media in a while. I know people like the Clark and Lois show, the whatever one is out right now. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's good. I think this sort of thing even works better in a cartoon, potentially. I think Superman might work better in a cartoon overall than live action because of that embrace of the earnestness. I think a cartoon is allowed to be a little bit goofier and sillier without having to wink at the audience to be like, we know that it's goofy. Are my winks good? I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just raising my eyebrow and blinking. The cartoon is just this is Superman. We finally did it. A couple other things I really like. I really like the trio's dynamic, Clark, Lois, and Jimmy. I think it's great. The chemistry between Lois and Clark right now is great. I love the fact that Lois likes Clark immediately, before Superman even comes into the picture. I like that the show set it up that the reason she likes Clark is specifically because the first time they met, they were in that bodega and the owner is just praising him and talking about how nice he is, how good he is, and how gracious and everything. He's just a good person, and that's the reason why Lois starts to even like him or notice him in any capacity. I think that's fantastic. Yeah, obviously, he's a hunk, but that's not really the reason that she likes him. That's a bonus, but that's not the reason. I made fun of Jimmy earlier, but I do like this version of Jimmy. I like that he's sort of a conspiracy theorist that really does fit Jimmy Olsen to me. A lot of the conspiracies that he's coming up with are referencing old Silver Age Jimmy Olsen comics, which I think is a really fun way for the writers of the show to be we know these characters. Just so you know, we understand these characters because they make so many Silver Age comic references. This show feels like if it was in comic book form, it would fit between the Gold and Silver Age, where at least so far, the threats at play feel a little bigger than a goofier Jimmy Olsen Silver Age, but it is still very fun, and having Jimmy Olsen there and having those comedic moments there. It just makes the world feel a little bit brighter. I like that there's this recurring gag of Lois, Clark, and Jimmy just not respecting Perry White's space in his like office at all. Like they just have these like conversations and like heart-to-heart talks, and Perry's like, guys, this is my office. Can you leave now? I just think it's funny. I like that Superman's dad is alive. That's a little one, but it's nice, you know? And maybe he'll die in an episode in the future, and that'll be sad. But we get to be sad together because he's alive now, and I like him. Please don't die. Deathstroke is in the show. He's hot. He's voiced by Chris Parnell. I have some beef with Chris Parnell, not Chris Parnell specifically, but just society's treatment of Chris Parnell, I guess, because we're always talking about how Hollywood has so many Chris's. We've got Chris Pine and Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans. No one's talking about Chris Parnell. I would replace Chris Pratt with Chris Parnell any day. Justice for Parnes, man. I'm a little hesitant to get excited about who it seems like they're teasing as the big bad of the season, or the entity, I guess, that they're teasing as the big bad, but we'll see how it goes. Like, that specific plot point hasn't hooked me to be like, ooh, gotta see what happens next, you know? I won't do a spoiler here, even though I've spoiled like pretty much everything else about the show. I just like this show a lot, and I want to know what you're thinking. Do you like this show? Are you gonna watch it? Have you watched it? Are you gonna continue to watch it? Can we watch it together? It's just interesting to me to see a take on Superman that like feels so fresh and so new when it shouldn't be. It is just like it's just Superman. It's how Superman should be. And it's brilliant. Like my brilliant idea to sit down right now so my raw power can leave my legs and shoot straight to my brain. But I do have another idea that's brilliant. Today's sponsor, Brilliant.org. Not too far away from the camera. It's a little odd for me, but I'm already sitting and I don't want to move because my brain is too powerful and heavy. Thanks to Brilliant.org's interactive courses in math, science, computer science, and more. Flawless. They have thousands of lessons for you to dive into, with more being added each month. Like hypothetically, if a cute bald guy's brain was so dense with all the knowledge that he knew that it had a strong gravitational pull, you'd probably want to know how to calculate the escape velocity of that massive noggin, which you could do with Brilliant's course on gravitational physics. Look, there's even a lesson on what if the Earth was flat, so I mean, hey, this could be a great gift if you have one of those uncles in your life. And good news, you can try everything that Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days. Just visit brilliant.org/nerdsync or click the link in the description. But as a part of my big brain schemes, only the first 200 of you will get 20% off of Brilliant's annual premium subscription. I know my head is relatively small in proportion to the rest of my body, but I promise the brain inside is so heavy because I'm a big smarty pants. So once again, go to brilliant.org/nerdsync to try Brilliant for free for a full 30 days. And remember, only the first 200 of you that go to that link in the description will get 20% off of Brilliant's annual premium subscription. And maybe your brain will be as brilliant as me. As mine brain. All right, that's going to do it for me. I just wanted to make this video because the last time I reviewed a new HBO cartoon, it was Velma, and it was not good. So I'm glad that Max. I'm glad that Max is still able to make good cartoons. Really wish they'd make a good Scooby-Doo one, though. That'd be great for me. All right, bye. That's good.